I think, during our championships, we managed to at least achieve two important agenda. Number one, to accelerate the process of implementations of the blueprint, and second, to provide also, the foundations, for the next steps, in the ASEAN community building. With regard to the first achievement, I think we can cite, the Indonesia's effort as the chair of ASEAN to mediate, and find solutions to the territorial disputes, between Thailand and Cambodia, and I think that was the first, attempt by any ASEAN member officially and openly, to mediate, the dispute between two other ASEAN members. That we haven't done that in the past, and I think, this process, also shows, to the ASEAN itself and also to the wider international community that ASEAN can utilize, the existing mechanism, within its ASEAN framework in order to, address real issues, real problems that ASEAN face. And also within that context, I think we also need to look at, the stagnations that we ASEAN face with regard to the South China Sea. After we signed the Declaration of Conduct in 2002, there was no development whatsoever. And then during the Indonesia's championships, we managed together with ASEAN, to convince and persuade China that, we need to sign the guidelines for the Code of Conduct and also try to move forward with the Code of Conduct proper. And for the second area of achievement, which is, to provide the stronger foundations for the next step, in the ASEAN community building, I think we managed to implement a number of points in the blueprint. For example, the ASEAN Center for Humanitarian Assistance, and also the Institute for Peace and Reconciliations. They're all there in the blueprint, but only, recently, actually put into actions. And then, of course, we still need to work, in order to fill the skeleton that, we already agreed upon during Indonesia's championships. But the most important things, in that context, I think ASEAN now also has a plan, to go beyond 2015. That's, I think, the declarations on the ASEAN community in the global community of nations. So, but the challenge is now really actually how you sustain this, agendas, to the few next years, because the problem sometimes within ASEAN is that, the agenda of the chairmen, of ASEAN is often perceived as the national agenda, right? So we need to actually have an agreement that whatever agenda that we agreed upon, regardless, who actually is chairing ASEAN, should be really seen as the, ASEAN agenda, and then need to be, carried over, to the next championships, by other, ASEAN member. So I think that is still a challenge. For example, how we can ensure that this process of the resolution of conflict between Thailand and Cambodia will continue, and how the process of the drafting of the Code of Conduct will also continue, even though now Indonesia is no longer a chair, but the chair is Cambodia, and then, of course, Brunei, and then Myanmar, in the next few years. So that's, I think, the focus where, ASEAN, should really, pay attention to,